precursor to communism.
Okay, but they're still different. If it's a gateway drug,
they're
meth
both
weed.
garden varieties of Marxism. Would you agree?
I agree with that. But I'm saying weed is not meth, so let's talk about weed. That's still a confiscation. If you're saying it's a confiscation,
no,
of
one is better, one is worse, and one is
but if we're talking about socialism,
more lethal.
You defined it at the beginning as the confiscation of private property.
Yes, correct.
It's also collectivized use. Do you believe in public schools?
No, I mean, ideally, I think they should be more community-based and more volunteerism.
Okay, but you believe in them in some level, right?
Well, I mean, again, this is overly abstract and academic. We live in a society where we have government schools, we have public schools, so we could talk about what we want.
I know,
or
but
what is
if
actually...
we're talking about what is anti-American, what is...
Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel at Pizza Makeover. Today I'm joined with Faye. I'm going to be checking out Socialist doesn't understand simple economics. Alright, so to further ado, let's get started.
Yes, sir.
What's up?
Sorry, I assumed your gender. I
now you're good, bro. I'm not tripping. So I was just agreeing with you said socialism is non-American. So what do you think is pro-American?
Well, let's define what socialism is, right? Socialism is the government confiscation of private property. It tends to be the rule of the few, not the many, even though they profess to say it's the rule of the many. But the American, let's just say, economic tradition is private property rights, markets with proper restraint, entrepreneurship, the ability to flourish, trade, create new products. Socialism disincentivizes almost all those things. Socialism is built largely on envy and greed. And hilariously, the people that push for socialism, the rank and file, they don't realize that socialism actually just creates an oligarchy. It doesn't actually create a strong middle class, what they allege, to want.
So do you believe in taxes?
Ideally 10% across the board. Yeah.
Okay, so you believe in the confiscation of people's private property?
At some point it depends on if it's private property income or if it's necessary to fund government services.
But that's still a confiscation with a gun through police if you don't pay.
At around 10% to fund public services,
but you
the military.
Socialism as taking private
Well, hold
property.
on. The average tax rate in a socialist type environment, and even this country, is what, 55%?
Yeah, but I'm saying taxes in general. That's private property.
So
being taken
taxation
from
is
people who
theft.
earn that money.
I fully acknowledge a moderate form of something I hate in order to fund a government, police, firefighters, EMT as necessary.
But that's still government confiscating
of course
private property,
yes.
which you said was socialism.
Yes, but you vote for it and you agree with it. I mean, I'm not an anarchist.
Why do I
never
agree?
have been.
Well, I'm an anarchist. I say any form of government existence is
that's
socialism.
Fine. Have you ever called the cops?
No, I don't believe.
Okay,
I don't like cops. They don't like me.
Okay, you ever gone to hospital?
No.
Okay, well, one day when you go to a hospital or you use the social service you
But I'm
paid
saying
for.
you define socialism as a confiscation of private property, and you're saying that you believe in taxes, which is a confiscation
let me
of
go
private
further.
wages.
Let me go for the unreasonable confiscation of private property, the elimination of private property altogether. You can have a 10%
that's
tax
communism.
rate.
That's not socialism.
Well, they could be conflated. One is a gateway drug to the other. I mean,
okay, but the middle ground
Lenin said
is
that socialism is a precursor to communism.
Okay, but they're still different. If it's a gateway drug,
they're both
weed.
garden varieties of Marxism. Would you agree?
I agree with that. But I'm saying weed is not meth, so let's talk about weed. That's still a confiscation. If you're saying it's a confiscation of
one is better, one is worse, and one is
but if we're talking about socialism,
more lethal.
You defined it at the beginning as the confiscation of private property.
Yes, correct.
It's also collectivized use. Do you believe in public schools?
No, I mean, ideally, I think they should be more community-based and more volunteerism.
Okay, but you believe in them in some level, right?
Well, I mean, again, this is overly abstract and academic. We live in a society where we have government schools, we have public schools, so we could talk about what we want.
I know, but
if we're
talking about what is anti-American, what is pro-American, in the existence of what you say is American, would you say public schools are part of being American? Would you say that's
well,
part
no, they
of
are. I mean, the public school system was started by John Dewey 100 years ago. We survived without it for quite a while.
What was it? During the signing of the Constitution, which the Federalists strongly supported, they were part of federalism was having a strong central government.
But
I would say it sounds like
Federalists
socialism
today would be like libertarians.
Okay,
just so
but that's still a strong.
They wanted a
central
small
government.
but strong federal
strong
government.
Central government still sounds like socialism to me. And that's
see, this is very sloppy intellectual thinking. That just because we want a police force, a border patrol, and we want clean streets, all of a sudden we become a socialist.
But those are still social services.
There is a spectrum between small and strong government and like Soviet-style communism.
But we're not talking about that. We're talking about socialism.
Right.
And
so
as you define socialism,
not
it's a
every form
confiscation
of
private
government
property.
is socialism. Would you acknowledge that?
No, I don't.
Okay, then.
But you define at the beginning
intellectually
of this.
lazy.
No, you defined at the beginning of this as social. You offered a definition.
I've
that
offered more
socialism was the
nuance to that.
confiscation
I will
of private
say
property.
it is the unreasonable confiscation of.
Well, how do you quantify unreasonable? What is unreasonable?
That's up to the politics to do. I'd say anything above 10%.
Well, how do you define? So
I said 10%. Where did I get it? I got it from the Bible. Makes sense. 10% of 10% of what you earn, 10% of what you have goes to either to tithe or to God or to some sort of taxation system.
So So just based
Again,
on
that's
the Bible,
my position. We can
your
disagree
position,
on that.
Okay, so your position is based only at 10%. At 11%, it's not socialism. It is socialism.
No, I'm not saying it's socialism. It gets close. It gets further away from
Then
what it is.
Where's the line? What is socialism?
What is the taxation line? How about
Yeah,
this?
if you're
Socialism is you cannot own the property that you desire.
But you're
And
talking
we're
about
getting-
me being intellectually
how about
lazy.
this?
I'm saying let's have a
So
stringent
let me
definition
actually
of
give you a
what is
real example.
socialism.
California is more socialist. Texas is less socialist. That's a
Okay.
spectrum.
But I want
Would
to
you
know
agree with
when
that?
does socialism begin and when does it end? And I'm saying
It-
you're
it-
saying
it's-
that some level
it's
of
not like
socialism
an entrance
but no, but
into
if you're
Narnia.
saying, if you're
It's like
saying
I'm all of a
socialism
sudden
is
here.
anti-American, I'm saying
it's a
socialism
spectrum.
is a part of America.
Okay, so you
even
want to
if-
know when socialism begins and
Yeah.
when it ends?
Yeah.
When you leave the free state of Florida and
Okay,
you
but
enter the unfree state of
What's,
New York,
what's the tax rate in Florida then?
0.
No,
The income tax in Florida is 0.
You still have to pay taxes though.
Federal taxes.
You still have to pay federal
no
taxes.
no corporate
But if
income tax, no
but-
personal income tax.
But you still have to pay federal taxes. So if you have to pay taxes at all, it sounds like Florida's a socialist state.
But yeah, so are you trying to say America's currently socialist?
Yes, that's what
Okay,
I'm saying.
I would agree. We're going more in that direction. So,
Okay, but then you were saying that it's
socialism
not. You're
goes
saying Florida's not
socialism
socialist,
is
and now you're
beyond
saying-
taxes, though.
But wait, you just said that America is socialist, but you said Florida's not socialist. So Florida's part of
Well,
America. That doesn't make sense.
Hold
to
on,
me.
but you pay 20% more taxes here in California than you do in Florida. Yes?
Okay, but they're both socialist.
No, but the federal project right now is more socialist than it is free market. Yes.
Okay, yes.
But in Florida, you get at least some gasp of liberty and freedom that you do not have. In California, if you're a top income earner, you're not paying 15% in addition to a 38% federal income tax rate. That's 53%. That is the government owns a majority of your labor.
Yeah.
So to be even more clear, the closer you get towards the government owning a majority of your labor and your goods, the further and further closer you get to socialism. California is that.
Yeah.
Now, I would love for the federal government to get rid of FICA tax, to get rid of, the excess income tax. I've been clear. I think 10% across the board, fine. We need a military. You might not agree. We need a police force. We need a border patrol. We need basic social services that are a safety net, not a hammock. But I do not believe in this over-the-top type taxation. If you want to talk about other types of taxation that everyone here is paying, it's inflation.
But
when you borrow $2 trillion a year, you do not have, you're getting 10% poorer every single year. I'm going to get to the next question because you keep on saying the same thing over and over again. But
I'm just
final
saying,
point.
I don't understand how you can say that socialism is anti-American when even the most pro-American, I think as you would define, would say Florida's pretty pro-American.
Yeah, I mean, they have no income tax.
But the thing is, if they still have taxation,
No, they have
if
they're part of the federal government.
Taxation is part of America, and it always has been.
But no, it
Public service has
hasn't.
always been part of
So
America.
since you're such a wise guy, how did we fund the government for the income tax?
Through taxation, but I say that's socialist.
Tariffs. We didn't have an income tax till 1917. So I'm going to get to the next person. You should do more studying on American taxation. And there's a
I think you
spectrum.
should define socialism more
Not every
strongly.
form of government is socialism.
Well, I don't really know much about taxes and the whole socialization stuff. Well, I just feel when it comes to having a dialogue with someone, just try to listen to what the other person is saying, not you trying to impose your own belief on them. Just listen so you understand where they're coming from, which is what the guy that was speaking into. But I'll try and see more about it, try to research more about taxes and when the government takes people property, which is not good. I know some other countries like your house will just be there, like the government will just come and demolish it, like they'll say it's government land, which is so unfair to the citizen because there's no compensation for it. So I quite understand the guy, but I just feel it should be a conversation because Charlie is not the one, he's not in the government, so he's not the one doing it. He's just a citizen who has to pay his tax regardless of what he thinks about the government status or anything. You just have to pay his tax because you definitely have to pay your tax to the government. So it's a very interesting video and I would love to watch more videos like this and understand more about the socialists and the tax paying also.
Actually, just as you said, in the aspect of the government and the demolition of buildings and fighting of lands and property, sometimes I know it's we as individuals who actually can afford that to buy lands from. I know government they hardly sell the lands. I know that sometimes it does like you have built a fence, the marketing the road and but not like no, you are bringing your hands too close to the road. Here are part of our lands, here are part of the government's land. You are kind of to argument and the rest of them. There will be like as if that settled with you. Later in future, you see when the rest of us statement that this road here and here are part of their lands, which is not actually good because they will just come, they will just be like, we are demolishing this place tomorrow. And I won't tell you on time, like, I can look for a place to lay your head and there's this like compensation that can be like, use this in reconciliation, which is not properly done. We all as individuals, despite our richness, our famosity, our and the celebrity lifestyle you live, try to bring yourself back. Take yourself back to it for them. It was once like this. Imagine they treated me like this. How will I feel today? How will I be? As in you raising yourself sometimes into an issue. Don't be like, how does it concern me? You live in a non-concerned life. I would say it's none of my business, it's none of my thinking because I all know that one day your judgment, everybody's day, I think the day we will all be judged for the sins and the things we committed as we think that it was fair, which was probably unfair. Sometimes there's some things you will do to people, you actually have to listen to your own perspective. So imagine you were the one that they were doing this to. Imagine, sometimes whenever you're having a speech with someone, it should be like a conversation, not like an argument. You bring out a point, I bring out a point. I understand where the boy was going to, where the boy was discussing about the way government are treating them, that it's not actually fair. Sometimes you actually compensate people. I know we all are living at an end of the day. God did not create you to be richer than me, God did not create you to be poorer than me. We all face a part of life. Those of us that are rich, there are things that you have as a poor man, they are everywhere. You as a poor man, there are things you don't have that I know that which is wealth. Food, finances, buy this and buy that. There's some things that you rely on, but your finances is not stable enough to get it. I know that some those things are not the things that I admire in the rich. Some people that apply to be really famous, some people that feel like that just only respect them, they don't respect. They don't need all the celebrity lives, they just only need that wherever they are working on, you should all respect them. So maybe they just get to pass that information, they don't care about what to use it for, but they don't get to give it out. It's left for you to. I don't just like there's nobody that got to be this or that, you woke up to it, and on things you dislike, you are planned for it, this is where God wants you to go. And sometimes you always pray that you always go through the right path, you always make the right decisions in life. So I can be able to get to, I understand what the guy will actually go into about the government stuff, and I should think of them in their issues, how are they going to be free, and the rest of them. That's just it.
So guys, please let us know if you got a reaction. Please hit the like, subscribe, and share with your next time. Bye.